This episode of the Submerged podcast is brought to you by Monsoon Aquatics.
Welcome back, everyone, for another episode of the Submerged podcast, Thick Dives and Aussie Vibes. Sam and Mariah with me today. We've got Sam Filch. He's actually a little bit under the weather, so he can't be with us tonight. So Mariah's stepping in.
Sam Phillips lost his voice, which doesn't really work on a podcast.
Yeah, completely.
He sounded so funny.
He was hoping to be on, but yeah, he just progressively got worse throughout the day. So he's out tonight, and Mariah's stepped in. But we've also got a special guest with us tonight. We've got Dan Kimberly from Monsoon Aquatics. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks, Jarred. Appreciate it.
Dan, before we get too far into the episode, so I'm sure a lot of people have heard your name and a little bit about what you've done. For those who are fairly new to the hobby and stuff, can you give us a little bit of a rundown about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm a mad aquarium nerd at heart. My very first memories are of being a young child hanging around my dad's aquarium store in Sydney. So he owned an LFS on the northern beaches in Sydney for a number of years when I was really young. And that's where I got the bug. And then from there, my first job was in an aquarium store that we supply today. And now I'm the founding director of Monsoon Aquatics. And we've got operations in Western Australia, Northern Territory and Queensland. And we operate in the wild harvest fishery and aquaculture.
Yeah, crazy cool. So all of those cool wild caught and captive spawned and fragged corals that you see in not just most shops, nearly all shops, possibly come from Monsoon Aquatics. And it's a little bit about why we have you in tonight, because we're going to be talking about wild versus captive coral and the differences and what goes into actually getting them to the shops and finding them and fragging them, all those types of things as well, because I don't think everyone quite appreciates, they just see coral show up at their shop and they go, I'll take that thing home. But there's a little bit of work behind it, right? So we'll dive into that. Yeah.
I can say firsthand, I've been at Dan's place where he's told me stories about people diving. I think you were actually part of the dive where people got the bends and then you had to get helicopters from Canberra and you had to move the boat at a certain speed. It was a wicked story. It honestly felt like the next installment of Indiana Jones or something. And it definitely opened my eyes to the dangers of what we take for granted when we go into our local fish shop, peruse around the store and have a look what's available. And it's wild.
And Sam, you're just coming off a few videos at Monsoon Aquatics too. You've done 2 so far. I think one at Cairns, one at Bundy, and I think have you got another one to come? Yeah,
I got another couple to come, to be honest. Haven't even really done the full tour of all the frags and things available there yet. Plus, got to talk to 2 of the big names sort of behind the scenes there in John and Juno and some of the work they're doing around coral spawning and things like that. So yeah, some cool content to come, but equally some cool content already out there.
So anyone who finds the episode today interesting, jump over to Parker's Reefs and have a view of some of the stuff that he's got going on, because I've seen photos and stuff of both facilities, but the video kind of really shows, a little bit more in depth and what goes into, I think the most recent one was, inverts and stuff like that. And that opened my eyes. I didn't realize. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, Shana's an absolute gem there. The work she does is awesome, and she's a real character. And getting the opportunity to put a microphone on her and get her to just take me through what she does on a daily basis was really cool. So I appreciated the opportunity.
Yeah, she's great. She's only just scratched the surface of what she wants to achieve, and yeah, I like that. I kind of have to hold her back sometimes, but I don't. But
I was going to say, I've never seen you hold anyone back.
but I don't have to push. I'm not pushing.
Yes, yeah.
Before we get into the episode, though, we will we do a thing. We do a bit of trivia, Dan. And for the entire season, it's all been based around Monsoon Aquatics. I think Sam Philp had a lot of questions for his little.
Shit, I better not get it wrong.
Yeah, I know the pressure's really on you now.
He's got the pen and paper out, guys.
I don't know if it's Monsoon themed tonight.
Of course it is.
Mariah's come up with.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Damn, that really puts you at a disadvantage, Jarred. I mean, Daniel's the founding director. I've just come back from a visit there. Mariah's asking the question. So, Jarred, geez, it's stacked against you, mate.
Oh,
I reckon it's no, yous will be right. Are we ready? We're doing it.
We are ready.
Everyone got their pen and paper out.
I do not, but sure.
In 2025, Monsoon Aquatics released a new, I shouldn't say variety, or I guess variety colour of hammer. I think it was a parrot ancora.
Oh, yes.
What was the name of it?
I believe I know this one. I
know this.
Go on.
2 words.
Do I jump in or do I...
Jump in. Go.
Go for it.
No.
Oh, I'm going to go with Neon Pulse.
Yeah,
Neon Pulse.
Neon Pulse. Yeah, okay.
Hot Mess was a year or 2 before, Dan. Come on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had those throwing pups now.
That's
was
embarrassing,
way back. No, because they're your favourite. That was going to be my go-to. I was going to say what's Daniel's favourite, but I was like, nah, then he'll get that too easily.
Well, that's too hard for us to answer if you say what's Dan's favourite. We got no chance of knowing. That's a biased question.
Yeah, the Neon Pulse. That's a ripper. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was. Nice piece.
I did know the answer to that one, but you got in before me, Sam.
I knew it straight away, and I sat on it for a minute, and I couldn't sit on it any longer.
Yeah, I do remember this coral because as I think a picture came out before the name was made, and
Correct.
I think Monsoon actually put it out to the public on what it was going to be named, and I was already in touch with Juno, like get me a couple of these on. I need a couple of these on order, and then the name was dropped. So that's how I know what it was called.
Yeah, same goes. As soon as I saw
it, we used to put it out on our staff teams page as well if we have a new colour variation and get people to just throw out crazy names. And we thought with this one, why don't we just go cast the net real wide and get everyone in on it? Like, it's fun.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was good. I actually can't remember who did come up with the name, but I know at the time I knew the person, so I'm sure if they're a listener, they'll let us know.
Let us know.
We did another one at Fragorama as well with something. I can't remember.
The Zoa. And you had people like writing down the names. Yeah, that was fun. I forgot what it was. I know that it was an orange one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty sure we inadvertently came up with a name for a Blasto.
Yeah.
That was just through the misremembering of the name of Juno's dog. Next Blasto you guys come up with, I think it's going to be called Rainbow Crackhead.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll never leave that down.
It's a bit of fun, hey? Like,
love it.
I mean, the names are wild. You may as well play up to it, definitely.
Every time I see Juno's dog now, I'm like, oh, little Crackhead.
It's crazy. She got a mouse the other day out of the bin, and
I was there that day.
You were there, yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't leave that bin all day.
No.
She's like an obsessed crackhead. Just locked in,
She really lived up to the new name.
Yeah. It's a crazy little dog. Anyway,
all right.
We digress.
Moving on. I first want to also give a massive shout out to everyone who come to the Salty Social.
Yes.
For us recording this right now, it was only last weekend, but
a week ago.
But by the time you listen to this, it would be a couple of weeks ago, and I think personally it was a great success. It was good to mingle with some listeners, some fellow reefers and stuff like that. And I think it's definitely something that we're going to do again in the future. And
Mm.
Dan, thanks for sending a couple of your guys down too. It was good to kind of chat with both Gaz and Jen as well.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
That's great.
No,
Having them both
it's
there.
really important for them to, I guess, keep in touch with what people are doing and what people want, how they see things should be going. And we got to keep ahead of that, right? So it's super important for them and us. Yeah. I think it's great that you're putting those things on and that we're starting to see more and more of this in Australia now, because if you go to the States or Europe or some of that, it's commonplace, and
True.
it just hasn't been for us here as much. So it's
we really stalled over the last few years. We were sort of starting to build a little bit of momentum, and the last couple of years things have really stalled. So
it's hard work, right? You guys have all got jobs and commitments and kids and whatnot, and just organizing these events is hard. So I think we owe you. Thank you. Yeah, I think that was really good to do.
Yeah, we think it's important. So we'll continue to do it as long as people are interested in coming. We're happy to facilitate. It's easy for this platform because we can just talk about it each episode, gain some interest, and people come. It's a little bit harder if you want to run something like this and you're just a guy behind the scenes on Facebook or Instagram type things.
Yeah,
true. I can say, Jarred, on my return to Melbourne, I did have a number of people ask me when it's happening in Melbourne. So
could be next. Could be next.
Mariah, the look on Mariah's face suggests maybe not. Maybe it's in South Australia. I don't know.
No, Melbourne or South Australia. I'm doing a little frag meet here, just on like a small scale, because it's my first event that I've ever done. That's going to be in July, and I think I'm going to need to get a bigger venue. Like the amount of people who are already RSVPing, I'm like, oh my God, I need a bigger tank. That's exciting.
Good sign.
All right, we'll get stuck into the episode now. Like I said at the beginning there, we're talking about wild caught coral versus captive coral. And when I say captive, it could be anything from captive bred to fragged. So we'll go over maybe a little bit of what the process is, at least for your business, Monsoon, Dan, what the process is for collecting wild coral. And I know that that's very vast and there's
super broad.
Super broad, but in a nutshell, I guess.
Yeah. Like it's not rocket science, right? The coral doesn't swim away. So it is a hell of a lot easier than collecting fish. We can train pretty much anyone to be a proficient coral diver if they've got a good eye, but being a good fish diver, I take my hat off to those guys there. That's the real deal. But I guess first, why don't we just start to look at where we work, the scale of it, so Monsoon Aquatics works everywhere from Broome in Western Australia through the Northern Territory, all the way down Queensland and out in the Coral Sea. Just the Great Barrier Reef alone, it's 348,000 square kilometres. So to put it in perspective for the Melbourneites, the Southerners, footy field, that's 70 million football fields.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just in that area, right? Now, footy field is 150 metres wide by about 180 metres long. That's, so 70 million of those.
Wow.
Yeah. Picture a little boat in that footy field with a 100-metre hose, 150 to 150 metre breathing hose.
Yep.
That's a coral harvester or a fish harvester. So it puts it in perspective of the vast area we're working. Obviously, a lot of those areas are marine parks. We're locked out of that.
Yep.
But even still, there is more ground than we will ever get to explore in our lifetime.
And that's 70 million football fields. You were just talking about the Great Barrier Reef there,
just the GBR. You can add thousands of kilometres more onto that once you get around the top end and
absolutely
through to Broome. And the West Australian fishery goes all the way down the coast as well. We just stop at Broome but the boats in Darwin.
Yeah.
So it's a huge area, right?
Massive.
And we really have to travel huge distances to find what Mariah would have in her little tank behind you there. It could come from tens of thousands of kilometres of coastline where we're selectively harvesting. So
that's insane.
Hours and hours goes into it, the boats themselves. So our boats, we operate 3 17 to 20 meter boats. So they're a larger vessel. It'll stay out for up to, the average trip is 10 days, but the guys will stay sometimes for 3 to 4 weeks, 6 weeks even, if they're doing a big trip up north. Yeah. Obviously they'll unload in between those trips.
Okay.
But we can keep coral successfully on those big boats 2 to 3 weeks. We've got huge pumps pumping massive volumes of fresh salt water through the holding tanks. But essentially, each one of those big motherships has a tender, a dory, and 3 of us will dive off that dory. And essentially, we're using a 100 to 150 meter yellow breathing hose that runs off surface supply hooker. So we're not using tanks.
Okay.
If we were using scuba tanks, we wouldn't make any money. We need to be down there for longer and not refilling tanks and doing all that. The average depth that we'll dive to is, 15 meters, but the guys will go down to 35, even 40, depending on what we're chasing. And then as shallow as, basically fins out of the water collecting gold torch or acro in the shallows, so it's huge variation in that. And it is really quite basic. You carry down a basket or a bucket and a hammer and chisel. And you're essentially, for the vast majority of pieces, you're pruning, wild broodstock pieces, wild mother colonies. So we're taking to them with a hammer and a chisel, and we're chipping off pieces and we're bringing them back. In the case of things like fungias and scollies, you are taking the whole animal. But even when we're doing that, hobbyists are really fussy these days. I don't know if you guys have realized that. It's quite
us, surely not.
Yeah. What do you mean? We're not fussy.
We have to swim over thousands of pieces to find the ones that are the right species, the right shape, the right size, and then the right color. And then on top of all of that, if it's got a dead spot or a blemish, it's not really worth it. So it is you would really struggle to follow us and find, be able to see what we've done underwater there. So the guys will dive anywhere from, half an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the depth, and they'll do that repeatedly through the day. So a day for an average coral collector starts at 7 a.m. You've woken up, had your breakfast, your coffee, from the dory by 7 a.m. and you're diving by 7:38, depending on the site. And then you'll dive all day until sort of 4 or 5 that afternoon, staying within your dive table so you don't get decompression sickness. But then the job doesn't finish. You've then got to weigh and pack all the corals away at night, and someone's got to cook dinner. So you can, you can be working till 9, 10 o'clock at night. And then our boats, we don't want to waste daytime, so we'll steam overnight. So then, you'll move to your next dive site, which sometimes could be 24 hours away.
Wow.
And
no wonder they're fit.
Running the boat. So
I'm tired hearing this.
Yeah.
It's hardcore. Hey, like a lot of people are like, oh, I'd love to be a coral diver. I'm, a dive master or dive instructor. And it is tough and it can ruin your love of diving because it's relentless, but if you've got a bit of a, that hunter in you, like a spear fisherman or a gold panner or, it is like that, you can't beat the feeling of swimming over a crest, spotting that master scully or that, rainbow acan, that 1 in a million power. I remember all of my top pieces, I don't dive anymore, but I remember finding some of those key pieces. It's something that just sticks with you forever because it's like striking gold. It is a real rush. Yeah.
That makes sense.
But all hand harvested. They come back to the boat, and then on the mothership, they're all packed in individual containers because obviously they can't touch each other. We can't have them rolling around, and so there's a whole lot that goes into that. And within each one of those steps, every chain in those steps, step in that chain, has got to be pretty much perfect, because if you damage an animal during that collection, so in the water in your basket gets rolled around, it only gets worse on the boat, because the animals are under stress. So each point of contact is really got to be spot on to get that coral back to the facility in perfect health. So then the facility staff can then process it, get it into the tanks, you know, and maintain that health ready for sale.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's incredible. Oh my God. Hearing you talk about this making me love coral even more. I did not know that is possible. Oh my God, that is so cool.
It's a big effort. It's a big.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
people
yeah.
often think that it's just, you just go out into the shallows and you kick about and you have a look, you stick your head underwater every now and then, you grab something out. You guys are going, from what I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, often many, many hours away from the coast, if not sometimes multiple days away from the coast.
Nautical miles.
Yeah.
In some cases, we are in the middle of nowhere, particularly when we get up to our northern grounds. So some of the areas in Northern Territory, we're the only ones, and the Kimberly, we're the only ones that dive there. You know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You add on top of all that stuff, then crocodiles, stingers, 7-meter tides, near zero visibility. That's when you sort the boys out from the men, sort of thing.
I can imagine.
That's where shit gets real.
Yeah. The physical toll physical toll was not enough. Throw in those dangers, those distances.
When you talk about the hot mess or the neon pulse or just our standard toxic branching hammers that I found 15 years ago, that's heavy croc country. That's proper crocodile country. Yeah. So it's not something to take lightly. Before I started the business in 2008, there was a fella who was taken by a crocodile collecting coral in the Northern Territory.
Wow.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are cautious of the crocs because crocs will actually hunt you. Is that correct? Where most of your other marine life probably don't actively hunt you.
Yeah, I think it's like you hear that with people talk about that in America with the bears, you know, like a grizzly bear will actively hunt you. So will a crocodile.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And a crocodile will attack you in mating season because you're a big threat, you know, like you're just another big animal in the water and it just doesn't want you there.
Yep.
Yeah, they're there's a lot of them these days. So we, when I first started and knowing the risk, I sort of made a rule very early on that we never anchor and sleep overnight where we dive. We always move to another area and then we'll come back in the morning.
Yep.
We always have someone on the surface watching. And we're always mindful of when we turn up to a new site, 20 minutes or so, you know, we've got to do the anchor, get your gear ready. Someone's watching because the crocodile will normally pop up in that time. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I've heard that they will watch you as well, and they'll watch the patterns as well.
Yeah, they do, and they get to know. I think they get to know your boat. And, you know, if you not that I think, I definitely know because there's places in the territory where they feed the crocodiles in the wild. So the boats will bait them up with sticks and bait.
Yes,
and that river in particular, so the Adelaide River. We did a lot of work there working with Tokyo Sea Life Park collecting nursery fish.
Yeah, cool.
We would use a tiny little tinny, which a crocodile could just walk in the boat if you wanted. and we would be stringing gill nets across that river, right, catching nursery fish and sharks and sawfish and all this sort of stuff. And there will be a 3-4 meter crocodile just sitting there watching us.
Wow.
Now, as soon as that tourist boat came around the river bend, he'd be gone straight to the tourist boat. Like,
you know,
they're not dumb. They know where their bread is buttered and who's got their food. And so
they're apex, right?
That's insane.
It's a mind trip because most people that are like myself that don't often get their feet in the salt water will naturally assume the sharks are your biggest concern when the impression I get is that they are absolute small fry compared to crocs. You guys actively, actively concerned about crocs, where sharks, in my impression at least, I'm terrified of sharks. You guys are like, they're not going to bite
you still shit yourself when you see one. If anyone says that they don't, they're lying. When you're chipping away or you do something and you look up in the corner of your eye, you see a shark, you shit your pants.
Yeah, cool. I saw about a 80 centimeter black tip shark when I
Not
was snorkeling
that.
once, and I shat myself. So
Yeah.
he was about the
No,
length of my arm,
yeah.
and it was enough for me to go. That's it. I'm out of the water. That's it. Let's call it a
That'll
day.
make good flake, that one. No, I distinctly remember a couple of times, and one of them was in the Northern Territory on a remote offshore reef, really good visibility. Out there, we see pilot whales. We've seen whale sharks, untouched, pristine area, right?
Beautiful.
And I remember chipping away at I think it was a Magnifica anemone, getting that off. And then just a bit of a shadow went over the top of me. And I'm like, well, that's weird. And looked up, and just this big head of a tiger shark just cruising past, And then I saw it go up to I wasn't that far from the boat, and I saw it go up to the boat, and then I felt big sharp tugs on my hose because the deckhand had seen it. So he's shitting himself. And then I saw it go down and check out where the other diver was.
Man.
But, when that happens, you kind of got to think, well, look, he's already I think it was a female. She's already made her decision. If I was food, I would have been food. So you just
would have gone.
Got to get back to work. It's
right. You don't even call it a bat. No, back to the anemone.
You got to get that mag.
Pay bills.
I'm pretty sure that's when I'd be back on the boat and probably trying to influence the captain to let's call this trip.
I was the captain, so we weren't moving anymore.
Now, another thing, Dan, the other misconception is that you just go out diving and then you just kind of collect every species of coral in your one little location, whereas you'll find certain corals on certain areas and then not in another area. Am I right?
Yep, 100%. Jarred, this is why I expanded Monsoon Aquatics from Darwin, because in those early days, right, I was sort of the only one collecting up there, or Sean, who's still there, and we worked sort of together. He was collecting as well. So there was nothing really known about it, but it was a distinct set of corals that we got. It was branching hammer, it was morphs, I'd get clams, I'd get Christmas rock, things like that. And I'd be getting asked for acro, we want acro, and it's just not really that good range of acro in the NT. So that's when I sort of thought, well, okay, look, if I want to grow this business, I need to be supplying what people want. And so if they want acro, then I've got to go and set up where we get acro, and that was Cairns. So we expanded into Cairns. And then, of course, people wanting scallies and acans. And it's like, well, the people want scallies and acans, the people will get scallies and acans. So, uproot the family and move to Bundaberg and set up a boat out of Bundaberg. And I ran that for a couple of years before handing it over. So I guess to answer that question, Monsoon Aquatics is unique, and it's been born out of that necessity to get a large range of product. Because if you are a small boat operating out of a single region, you are going to have to get everything you sell from that area. And some of the product is not going to be as good as it would be from, say, Broome or the Northern Territory or Northern Queensland. Parancora is a great example. You can get that in Queensland. You can get that up north of Cairns, but it's shit. It's like spindly, it's dull, it's not worth getting. So why get it? Leave it there. Get it from Darwin where it's good. And likewise, our Fabias are really good out of Darwin, so we get them out of there. So every single area that we go to, we go there for a distinct set of species, and so we plan our trips around obviously weather, but we plan the trips around what quota is available to us, and then what the customers are wanting, what we don't have much of in the shed. So we and then every trip we'll roll the dice on a new spot, and that's the exciting part, and spend an hour or two sounding around, looking for new grounds. And the guys actually did that on the last trip, and they found some virgin acan scully grounds that they just stumbled across. Wasn't on the chart. They just spent an hour or so with the depth sounder cruising around and stumbled across it. So
very nice.
Yeah, we travel huge distances to get that full range. It's really important to me that we are able to offer the largest range at the best quality.
Yep.
I could listen to you all night talk about
so cool.
collecting coral and stuff, but we got to move on. And The next couple of questions I got for you, probably answer them both in one bit, is what's the benefits and what are the downsides of collecting wild caught coral?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question at the moment. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the AMCS campaign against the coral fishery.
Yes.
Yep.
That's really, really concerning on a number of reasons. First one is because they're lying, right? The data that they're putting out there is incorrect. So part of their campaign is saying that the coral fishery harvests 200 tonne of coral each year from the Great Barrier Reef. If you jump on FishNet, which is a public domain put out by Queensland Fisheries, you can look at what quota is being used in the fishery. And if you were to jump on right now, I'm on there now, you can see that 51 of the species that we're able to harvest are below 5% catch.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
And that the total is sitting around now, and we're at the end of the season, so it's really not going to go up much at all, about 37 tonne. So that's the actual footprint of the fishery. Now, that includes ornamental coral as well. So that includes the ornamental acro Pachyloporas that some licensed collectors take for drying and putting in hotels and people. Stuff, right?
Yep. Not just aquarium hobby trade.
No. Yeah. So some of this campaign that they're putting out now, it's just not factual, right?
Yeah.
But yes, the fishery does have a potential to take that.
Yes.
But if you were to jump on FishNet and have a look, that all these 51 species out of 89 that are below 5% catch, the aquarium industry is not interested in. We're talking about things like Sidastria, Stylasta.
I've never even heard of these.
Yeah, and you never will. You're never going to want to. So they use this old antiquated 200 tonne against us.
Yep.
So, I think it was 5 years ago, the fishery moved from what we would call a basket quota. So you had 10 tonne of quota. That would have been split up into specialty coral, which is all your LPS, your acans, your scollies, your phyllias, all of that. And then the majority of it was other coral, which is live rock and aquapora.
Okay.
And so you could go out and just nail scollies, and all your specialty quota, you could just fill it up with scollies, right? And that's not sustainable.
No.
So the government did change that a few years back, and now every species has an individual limit on it, right? I just wanted to make that clear that I support aquaculture, and Monsoon Aquatics will grow that space, but I'll always staunchly defend our wild caught fisheries because it is a really small footprint, sustainable fishery, and without it, the hobby wouldn't exist. Yeah, so
100%.
I think for everyone at home, don't be ashamed to tell people that you do buy sustainably sourced Australian coral. Buy aquacultured coral if you want to, but don't think that you need to, or that the wild stuff is unsustainable. Right? And I think a very easy, clear definition of sustainability for me is that what I'm doing today is not going to affect the ability of my children to do that in the future.
Yep.
Okay. So, and the coral fishery is just that, right? Like my kids could take this over and their kids could take this over. If it's well managed and the environment is looked after, it is a renewable resource. We are pruning and gardening out there, and we are swimming over the majority of pieces. Yes, it has an impact. Everything we do has an impact.
Of course.
But it's a sustainable impact, and it's not going to affect future generations' ability to enjoy the reef or do it. So that's important, I think, to put in perspective. So don't be ashamed of it. Be proud of it. Australia's got one of the best managed fisheries, in the world. What I didn't talk about before in the day of a coral collector is, we're all electronically monitored. We're all got VMS on the vessels. All our logbooks, we've got to let fisheries know when we're going, where we're going, when we're coming back, expect an inspection every time. So,
Wow.
It's a really well-managed professional sort of fishery.
Yeah, nice.
And I forgot what you originally asked me, but what is good about wild coral and what is bad? Is that correct?
Yeah, the positives and the negatives, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that the positive is that it's sustainable, right? And you are going to get unique one-off pieces.
100%.
before they hit that aquaculture revolution. Like it takes a while to farm up a neon pulse to a point where you can name it and sell it off. But you can get those wild pieces straight away, and it's not named. It's unique.
Yeah.
I think it's what drives our hobby, right? Like without it, there's the benefit. Without it, you're just not going to have a nice reef tank. Aquaculture is just not there yet.
Yeah.
So I think the variety, I think the quality in Australia, we're really lucky. When I travel overseas and I see some of the imported coral the guys get from places like Indo and that, it's pretty rough, eh?
Yeah, right.
They love Australian coral because of the quality, but it's expensive, but it's so obvious when you go to a booth or a vendor or a shop, there's the Indonesian corals and here's the Australian corals. The quality is just, the health of the animal.
Yeah.
That's one thing actually. When I look like on your like American website, say like I think is it ASD and like Top Shelf, I can pick the monsoon corals.
Yeah.
You can actually, you can actually tell like the Australian ones, but you see like, oh, like those acans look familiar, or like that's a neon pulse, or they've got hot mess. Like you can literally tell the quality stands out. But then I think from an Australian hobbyist, I'm like, oh, like I would love some Indo torches and stuff like that. But then your Australian stuff really doesn't compare.
It's something I think we take for granted here because, I mean, if there's sort of newbies listening, in Australia, we can only access Australian coral. So,
and inverts, correct.
And inverts, correct. Or fish we can get from other parts of the world. But so when you come to coral, we're only used to seeing Australian coral on the shelves. And I myself haven't looked at the hobby overseas yet. I definitely plan to in the future. And I'm super curious to see things like that in America or even in Europe, where you see some corals from other parts of the world and just how the quality of Australian things stack up next to it. And from what you're saying, they do it chalk and cheese.
Yeah, it is. Don't get me wrong. Some of the stuff that I've seen overseas is mental.
I can imagine,
crazy, right? Yeah, but they think that our stuff was just, it's what you know.
Of course.
After you've seen 1,000 bleeding apple scollies, it's just like another one, whereas you see some random bounce mushroom over there and it just blew me away,
Yeah.
I think further to what you're saying as well, for the end consumer, I think a value for money is also probably a big thing as well, because we're doing really well in the frag culture and stuff, but you compare apples to apples, and I think you could quite easily go out and get yourself, a $40 or $50 frag, which has come from a $40 to $50 wild caught colony. Like it's identical, but the size difference and everything could be the end point for the consumer. That they want that value for money. So that's for me on the other end. That's probably a plus for them.
I would agree. I think sometimes too the carbon footprint of a wild collected piece is less than an aquaculture piece. If you're into that sort of stuff,
absolutely.
It is. Yeah, Mother Nature is the best aquaculture farmer we have. I'll never beat her. But some of the drawbacks of wild pieces, right? It's pests. It's pests.
You do see a number of pests in the wild collected pieces? Yeah.
Yep, definitely. Yep. And some places more than others. Like our clams, for example. We'd been collecting clams from the Northern Territory for 16 plus years and never seen a pyramid snail. And then the first batch of clams we got out of WA, pyramid snails. And that was just a bastard to get rid of. So every area has pests. Certain torch grounds we collect off will have more flatworms than others, so we've got to treat them as they come in. So if you buy a good frag from a reputable dealer, you shouldn't get pests and diseases coming with that. But a wild piece, it's so much easier for them to hitchhike coming in. Zoanthid eating nudibranchs, we've had them come through the farm, and the facility is on a big batch of zoanthids, and over a span of a week they all just start closing up, and you're like, what the hell? And then you can see these little bloody nudibranchs cruising through the zoas. You don't get that on the frag pieces once they've been quarantined and kept properly. And then also you've got to be careful of when you buy a scully or particularly the southern Great Barrier Reef stuff, turn it upside down and look for boring sponges or mussels, that can eat through that animal.
Those mussels
really
are a nightmare.
really cause a problem down the track. If it's been processed and cleaned properly, they should have been removed. But I would just say to anyone buying wild pieces, just have a good look underneath. And if you're seeing big gaping holes or discoloration in a hole, that could be sponge that's died off, and that can rot the animal away from the inside. So downsides is that you've got to be just careful of you bringing in something from the wild, and in the wild, there's always something that keeps that pest in check. And they're not, it's not in your aquarium. So just be mindful of that. So just dip, like inspect and dip. Don't assume that we've got it all and we do our best, but don't assume that, and don't assume the retailer's picked up on it either.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I guess now we go into the other side, and it's a whole different facility for you, is the spawning and fragging side. I know that these are both completely different things, but it's not wild caught. It's something that you guys are assisting, like spawning. You guys are assisting that process, but then also fragging off legacy pieces and things like that. Talk about that a little bit for people.
That's something that we sort of started doing in Darwin going back 12 years now with the fragging, experimenting with that. And then we used to get para and cora at a certain time every year would spawn in our systems. And then we'd just be slowly but surely starting to a little bit more success with those. So it was really humble beginnings. I studied aquaculture at uni and TAFE. So, and I did a stint working at Charles Darwin University in the aquaculture department. So I always had an interest in it. Like it's always fascinated me. Aquariums and aquaculture kind of go hand in hand. You're creating an artificial environment where you're God and you're keeping them alive through the life support systems and ideally growing them and breeding them. So it's always been an interest of mine. So it's something that we've pursued and we've put a lot of money into.
Yes.
It's a lot. All of our wild caught sort of sales haven't gone into funding my dream Lamborghini. They've gone into funding our aquaculture.
No, what are you talking about? That is your dream Lamborghini.
And I often say I stole this line from fellow Mark from Ames, who does the PDP, the reef restoration there. Coral aquaculture is like a marathon, right? And we're in the first few meters of that marathon. There's just so much we don't know about it. So it is exciting. Just like the wild collection's exciting, you get a bit of buzz out of that. I also get a buzz out of the aquaculture. It just takes so long. It's so frustrating. I'm so impatient. So to get that delayed gratification for me is very difficult. But it's really it's important, I think, from a few aspects. Consistency, right? So we can supply aquaculture products throughout the year, regardless of weather, regardless of quota, what's happening in politics and what might be changed. We can provide that aquaculture product. It's consistent, it should be clean, healthy, disease-free, and if it's named a Neon Pulse, then you're getting a Neon Pulse, right? So you can sort of rely on that. And if it's done correctly, those animals have been in captivity for quite some time already. So they're kind of like used to the LED lights. And we use greenhouse as well, but it doesn't make that much of a difference. They're used to being in captivity. When you do buy a wild coral, it's undergone some stress. No matter how good your chain of custody is, it has undergone stress.
Absolutely.
With the aquaculture stuff, it's already done that. It's undergone that. It's been kept in captivity and, grown from there. And I guess too, we can share the love. So rather than just selling one Neon Pulse, we can hopefully sell 10 or 20 and grow those on, even further. So it's a very difficult labor of love, but I feel it's worthwhile. I've been called crazy in the business in the early days when I'm like, we should do this. Oh, we should do a whole facility. Oh, you're fucking nuts. We're going to make money now.
So you doubled down and you made that facility even bigger.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, but just like there's a lot of work that goes into the wild collection, there's a lot of work that goes into that aquacultured product. My dream was to make it super affordable to people, right? Because ultimately, my life has been changed by keeping aquariums. My whole trajectory of my life to where I am today, I can attribute to that fascination with the ocean, but the ability to keep it in my bedroom.
Yep.
So I can look at it 24/7, not just half an hour, and I'm snorkeling or whatever. I want more people to have that. And wild caught pieces can be daunting. They can be expensive. And so I thought that, well, maybe these frags, I'm hoping these frags that some of them we can do for under $20, in the retail setting. You can have a set point where people walk in and go, oh, okay, well, it's aquacultured, so I kind of feel okay about that. But not that that's wild's bad, but some people, I feel good. It's aqua. It's $20. Oh, okay, that's not too bad. Versus the $600 Scully or whatever they see next to that. I'm hoping that it brings more people into the hobby, and that the frags are easy to keep. And like Pokemon, you can collect the whole lot in one small tank.
Makes sense.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I think people, they understand fragging. I think because we all somewhat do it whether we plan to or not. At some point, us hobbyists, we frag, right?
Yep.
What a lot of us don't do, and a lot of hobbyists will never see, is the captive spawn stuff. And you've got some stuff kind of consistently spawning now.
We do. Yeah, we do. We've got acans and scollies for sale regularly now. That's our, every week we've got them available in decent numbers. And we've spawned over 12, 13 species. But John and I, so this is all John, right? Like I can't take credit for this. He's the mastermind. We both sort of made a decision that yes, we could spawn everything, but let's focus on what's going to bring the best return to the business right now. And then at the same time, we're building capacity, the infrastructure, the skills, the knowledge to spawn anything. And ideally our dream is to be spawning corals for conservation aquaculture, and be putting more corals back on the reef, or helping communities around the world to do the same thing, than what the fishery would take in a year. That's we want to maintain that wild fishery, but then have a net positive to the reef with numbers. So that's the dream. So while we're really doing gold torch, acans, scollies, red, pink gonnies, John's trying the Bowerbanky as well. But cool. I think we'll leave it at that for now, and that we'll just perfect that and build on it as we go. And what's even more exciting is that John's hoping that this year, definitely next year, but we're hoping this year, is that we will spawn our first F1 scollies and acans. So F1 means first generation, not frag, but the ones that we spawned 2 years ago are now of a size where they should be getting ready to spawn again. And that's, Jarred, when you talk about captive spawning, that's captive spawning, because that's up until now we're spawning wild coral, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, because we can turn 100 scollies into 100,000, on a good run. But completely closing that life cycle is I guess it's landmark, but it's also I think it's important for selective breeding, and that we can start to actually selectively breed the corals that we want to stay in the hobby and in captivity, and in a perfect world, develop new color forms that we're not seeing in the wild, which we're already seeing in the facility. Because when
it's pretty crazy.
When your settlement rates are way higher than that of the wild, you know, where the amount of corals that we settle versus the wild is significantly higher. I don't know the number, but you're getting more animals settle, and chances are you're getting new color forms, you know, in there that settle that we haven't seen. So just
That's
Juno,
nice.
Dave had a little scully to me. She's like, have you seen that before? I'm like, never. Not in the thousands and thousands of wild scullies I've seen, have I ever seen one that orange and golden in one piece, you know? So,
wow.
Yeah, that selective breeding side of it's really exciting.
That's incredible.
It makes sense though, you know, like there could be some color variants or patterns or something that fish are attracted to in the wild that when they start to settle, a parrotfish goes, oh, that's mine, I'm going to eat it. So we
100%.
never see them mature. When they're in a tank and there's no parrotfish there munching on them, then happy days, they raise up and we see things that we've never seen in the wild. It's pretty exciting times.
Yeah. There's just so much of that we don't know, right? Like,
yeah, very exciting.
What's the timeline? So from when you guys are selling spawn pieces to retail shops, from when they first spawn, like at the moment I've got torches that went in my frag system. It was the most exciting time of my life, and I look at them daily and they all look the same every day. Say a captive torch or one of your scollies that's sold, how old is it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So every species is different, just to complicate it even more. So your torch are probably one of the quicker ones. I'd say after a year, they will be like multi-head in good conditions, or, you know, at least sort of 10-cent piece size heads on them. A scully is going to be 2 years until it's sort of what you would consider not just a little baby, you know, maybe sort of like, I know, 1.5 centimeters, you're looking at 2 years growth sort of thing.
Yeah, right. Slow process.
Yeah, they're slow growing. Yeah.
That's amazing. But you said that they're almost ready to spawn at that size.
Our 2-year-old ones are, because of John Juno's secret sauce. It's like any farming, any aquaculture. You can grow things or you can grow them really fast. They've taken a select group of these corals and they put them in their special system and they give them the special sauce and the TLC, Juno's love, and they are booming. So they're head and shoulders above the ones in Gen Pop.
Yeah, right.
Special Mickey Mouse Club. Yeah. I asked them, I say, so how do we extrapolate that over the whole facility, right? Yeah. And so then John wrote out a huge document on just how to do it. And
a thesis.
A thesis. There's a lot to it, and a lot of expense that'll go into it. But eventually we'll get there. Yeah.
Nice. You just got to multiply John and Juno, and simple as that. Add some money and some resourcing, and simple, Dan. What are you doing?
So easy.
It is. It is that. It's time and money, because we've got the passion.
So is everything,
We've got the background. It's time and money. So anyone out there listening with money.
What's money when you can have fat scollies, eh?
Exactly. But I mean, I guess that's the point, though, is like you guys have done the process now. You've got the knowledge, you've got the intellectual property, you know the process, and you're continually refining it. Now it's just about scaling that and
exactly.
In making efficiencies wherever possible, just to continue to drive that price down and that affordability across the hobby, and even to the point where the scale of it gets to the point where you say you can put more back into the ocean than your licenses have you collect.
Yep. I truly believe we can do that, you know, numbers wise. There's no reason we can't. We can produce millions of corals.
It was, I would say 10 years ago, I would have said you were really out there in saying that. And as of today, I would say that's not that ambitious. So I can only imagine in another 10 years' time, we'll say, well, it's not even a challenge.
That's right. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And, you know, like Jarred, you said, that difference is, you know, we can frag at home, and fragging is like a really good part of the hobby, but to grow it and to scale it, the spawning is really the best way, you know. My wife, Brooke, who's our general manager, she sort of says, you know, if you've got the MCG there and you've got to turf it, you know, are you going to go around with little plugs, little frags of grass, or are you going to spread seed? And you're going to spread seed, right? Because that's the most effective way, the scalable way to do it.
Yep.
So that's what coral spawning is to us. It's that scalable approach that we can also use and transition to what we call conservation aquaculture. For corals to go back on the reef, because frags, it's never going to make a difference, right? Like the whole notion of too labor intensive. The whole notion of fragging coral and putting it back on the reef, it's just not going to work. The only way that we're going to make a dent in sort of like scalable restoration is by spawned coral. Settled.
In many ways, I mean, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, but corals frag themselves relatively well in the wild.
Yeah,
like they frag really well. Where you touched on before the settlement rate of spawns in the wild. You can return a much better efficiency of that.
Huge
Inland. So it makes sense. Like if the ocean is great at fragging, you guys keep fragging, and if Monsoon Aquatics can spawn to a better success rate, then that's obviously where your focus and attention goes.
But obviously, fragging is cloning, right? So when you get that 1 in a million neon pulse, I don't know yet if we can spawn that and get more neon pulses. I'm not convinced that's the way it works yet. No. Whereas if we take that and we clone it, frag it, it's going to work. I only think of this because of the variants we're seeing, and John's done some early work with selective breeding, and over the next sort of 5 years, that will really open up. But in my experience with spawning clams, so giant clams I've spawned for quite some time, it was always the holy grail of mine to get NT blue squamosa, right? And only NT blue squamosa. And I got the best ball-tearing NT blue broodstock I could find and spawn them, and they just spat out all brown and gold. And maybe one or two blue and some greens, and it was heartbreaking. Thousands of these clams that weren't the color I expected. So there's still so much to learn in that space. So fragging will always have a part. If you want to take that one holy grail piece, your only guaranteed way of keeping that is fragging it and growing it.
Makes sense. Yeah. Very interesting.
I've got another question for you here, but I've got a little one to add on to it first. Do you ever see either part of your business taking over another part, or you think they work perfectly hand in hand?
I hope they don't, because if they do, that choice has been taken away from me. Because I'm a firm believer that the two of them complement each other. So the wild caught aspect of Monsoon Aquatics is complementing the aquaculture and vice versa. It'd be a sad day if we could only aquaculture. It's not the answer. It's not a like for like replacement. It does bug me that the successes we've had in aquaculture can now be used against us in I see it on Facebook where people are like, oh, well, they can frag these things and spawn them. They don't need to take them for the wild anymore.
You're right.
And again, I just go back to but why shouldn't we sustainably harvest a renewable resource that's bringing new income into us?
If people said, well, we can grow apples in a lab, then why are we plucking them from trees? Well, it's because the trees are growing. Like there's apples there for the plucking. Why wouldn't you? Why would you use lab resources to grow an apple when they're out there?
So it would be a sad day if the aquaculture overtook because the wild caught was taken away from us. I think the hobby would suffer significantly worldwide. And realistically, no matter how good we get at aquaculture, there's always going to be a need for wild caught, not only to meet the demand, but to just inject new broodstock and genetics into it and all that. So we're always going to require it. It's a shame sometimes people think that I'm all about aquaculture because we've gone down this path and done well. But at heart, I love the wild caught industry, and I still get goosebumps every boat unload, and I want hobbyists to be able to feel that when they go to their LFS and they're like, oh, we got an unboxing. Yeah, there's a box of frags and aquaculture fish, but here's a box of premium wild caught, the bee's knees straight from the reef. This is how it really is.
It's hard to beat it.
So you touched on it a few times throughout the episode, and I've got a larger question to what you just said. And it also stems a little bit from what Sam just said before about how far we've gone in the last 10 years. What do you see for the industry in, let's say, 20 years from now, then 50, then maybe even 100 years from now? Like,
Damn.
do you see, like, it's hard to foresee the future, but with what's happened so far over 10 years, do you think that there's going to be dramatic change over not only the way that you do things, but the way that the hobby does things?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I think for the hobby, I think the technology. So when I first started keeping reef tanks, we were using under gravel filters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the T5 light was like the duck's nuts technology. When blue actinic lights, T5s came in. You look at it now and it's just come so far. The tech that we have, almost too far, where it's sometimes people get a bit daunted by it. But if you can strip it back, if you get those basics of water movement, lighting and water quality, stability, temperature, salinity, pH, alkalinity, kind of you just stay out of it after that. Do your water changes, feed, stay out of it. So yeah, sometimes the tech's a bit of a double-edged sword, but I just see that getting better.
Yeah.
I see that I don't see a reason why people couldn't spawn corals and grow them out at home if they really wanted to, because the technology around manipulation and changing every variable is getting better and better, and live feed production, that's a big key. So I can see that sort of growing. In terms of the regulatory framework in Australia, oh man, I wish I had a crystal ball. Honestly, it's like, I think every commercial fisherman in Australia feels the same way. We feel like that meme on the gallows, where dude's got the thing around his neck. He looks at them, it's first time, is it, mate? Because it's just been years of uncertainty, and
it is that noose hanging around the neck, isn't it? Just at any stage, the floor could fall out.
That's right. Yeah. And it's really distressing at times to see those campaigns come out and then for hobbyists to be under attack. And hobbyists have got to realize too that a lot of these people behind these campaigns, they just don't want you keeping animals. They don't want you keeping fish, whether it's aquaculture. Don't believe the hype. It's happened to other commercial fishers where they put the rec fishers and the commercial fishers against each other, right? And the rec fishers got the votes, so commercial fishermen, getting buybacks, and it's just shrinking. Those same NGOs now are turning on the recs and trying to lock up areas for divers only, scuba divers only, where rec fishermen can't. So that rec fishermen now are like, oh shit, we made a deal with the devil and the devil's come to cash in. So we're in the same boat in that respect. So that worries me. I don't have an answer for that, Jarred. I don't know where it's going to go. I really, really sincerely hope that the Australian government grows a set of nuts and stops getting pushed around by the international community telling us how we should manage our marine resources.
Spot on.
Yeah. Just because something is endangered on the other side of the world, it doesn't mean that we should be sacrificing our ability to create income or sustainably use our resources, because the problem over there is still there, and a lot of time we'll then import that problem from them to buy it because we banned our own. Australia is a net importer of seafood.
Yep.
Get your head around that. Like, we are covered,
bizarre.
surrounded by
We're not landlocked. Like, we have coasts around the entire country.
And we import seafood from places like Thailand, Indonesia, where we don't know what they don't have the regulations we do. So
no, far from it.
Don't get me started on that. I can talk around all of that, but that worries me. So I don't know where we're going to be in 10 years and 20 years. I know that the resource will be there.
Yep.
I'm a firm believer that the reef's going to be there. I think it will change, and I think that we have an opportunity to assist the reef get through, this climate change and all the other water quality threats that it's having. I think it's our obligation to do something about it. And I think that aquariums play a huge role in that, not by, the coral that I have in my tank is going to repopulate the Great Barrier Reef. No, it's not about that. It's about that people, once they see something and they enjoy it and they feel passionate about it, they value it. And when they value it, they want to protect it. They want to make sure that it's there so they can keep enjoying it. And aquariums they're the window to the reef, right? And that's what I'm really passionate about, is making sure that we've got access to these aquariums, because ultimately it leads to that community support and that awareness of what's happening on the reef.
Mm.
Yeah, well, it puts it front and center, like literally in the cornerstone of your lounge room for you and your family to see, but also visitors to your house.
Yeah.
They see it, they hear the story, they understand things about it. It's much more in your face than that one trip to the Great Barrier Reef you did 5 years ago, where you snorkeled one, possibly heavily tourist visited spot, and feel like you're now an expert on it. It gets you much more in touch with it. As you say, there's a little bit of a God complex. You're responsible for these animals in your house. You've got to care for them, maintain them. Sometimes we get things wrong. Sometimes we get them right, and we learn from it. And I think you're right. It definitely puts it front and center of people's thought process, if nothing else.
Yeah, and it's a connection to nature that I think humanity is
desperately
losing
needing
it, right? Like I live in regional Queensland, so I'm very connected to nature and that. But when I travel to places like Tokyo and cities in America, the connection to nature is almost gone. And I think that is really sad. And I think aquariums can be that connection. Even if you live in a tiny little apartment, you can have a nano tank with a little sexy shrimp dancing around on a bit of live rock, looking cool.
Spot on. As it is, the schools here in Melbourne are starting to promote green space. They have access to green space, which means they've got the ability to use a nearby oval, which is grass. And that's the green space. And I'm like, wow. I'm not that old, but things have changed a lot from when I went to school. That blows my mind.
I don't think you realize how important it is until it's not there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Granted,
Yeah.
Until it's not there. So
definitely.
Yeah.
But we've also we've seen it how important the hobbyist is in this game as well. Like Sam, you and we spoke with Hadley back in season 1, who is a hobbyist, but he's also a marine biologist. And he's told us a number of times about he works with other marine biologists, and him being as a hobby, he's consistently teaching them new things or looking at things from another angle, another point of view, whereas they're somewhat book bound and just, their research and things like that. They go out in their dives and stuff, but they don't understand it from the hobbyist level. And I think more people like that, yourself, and any other hobbyist in the future that kind of take it up and take it to the next level, view it from a completely different, perspective as well. So I think the hobbyist is very important in restoring the reef and keeping the reef alive. And I think you guys at Monsoon are showing that. You're at the forefront, kind of showing that it can be done, Yeah.
Well, we were one of 2 companies this year to put coral back to the reef, working with the Australian Institute of Marine Science. Now, that has been a dream of mine for years. And I thought I was crazy. I thought I was crazy. And we did it. And I'm hoping we can do it again this year. I'm hoping more harvesters can do it because we can't do it on our own. Like, in one breath, I'll say I'm confident that the resource will outlive us, the reef. But I'm also, I think there'll be changes. And I think that, like it may not be the reef that was there 100 years ago will be there the same in 100 years. It'll adapt. And part of this understanding that comes from keeping aquariums is understanding how the aquarium can adapt and the animals in it can adapt, as long as those changes are gradual. And that's really the conservation aquaculture work we're doing. And part of this project, we're doing a project with Hadley and his team there. We're looking at, producing corals with a higher thermal tolerance to go back to the reef. And Ames is doing that work as well. So rather than just spawning coral and putting them back and they're susceptible to bleaching like their counterparts, this aquarium hobby industry aquaculture has the ability to selectively breed from broodstock that have been proven to be heat tolerant. The tests that Hadley and his team can do to show a coral has actually got increased tolerance. And you can spawn those and then put them back in their thousands, and hopefully they grow up and then they spawn and they pass on those genetic traits. And that's just one aspect of accelerated natural selection. Yeah, we're just trying to do what nature would normally do, but just giving it a little kickstart.
A little boost, yeah.
And we wouldn't, aquariums, I think, and our hobby, our industry are going to lead the way. Once Ames have done their R&D and they've moved on to the next thing, I firmly believe that this will be the collectors, the aquaculture, the farmers, and a new industry will be born, I hope.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are positioned really well. Jarred talked about hobbyists and academics, essentially. And sometimes we might not work as well together as we possibly should. The academics will look at us and go, maybe they're a agricultural bunch, doing whatever they do in their home tanks. We look at the academics and go, they're textbook boffins. They don't know what a real reef is.
Yeah.
You guys are in a position where you can almost merge the two there and get us working together and provide resources from both sides, facilities, and get us all on the same page and get those results that realistically everyone's looking for.
Yep. You nailed it. That's John's job in a nutshell. He's like the lead research scientist for Monsoon Aquatics, and Juno is the research tech. And what they work with JCU, with UTS, and they do research projects, because what the universities have is access to the academic, the genetic labs, those sorts of things. And what we have is the access to scale.
Yeah.
So we can take a concept and experiment and we can scale it up.
Yes.
And we have the access to the animals, and all the facilities. So when you join those two together, that synergy actually produces real world results.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Versus just a paper. It actually produces something that can, create change.
Makes a big difference. Yeah. Nice one.
Well, that's all the questions that we have for tonight. And like any episode that we've done in the past, we kind of we touch on the basics of what we want to kind of get out there, and then we can come back to it with volume 2 if people like the episode and they take something from it. But
and if they have good questions.
If
they liked it, that's great. But if they liked it and said, but you didn't ask these 50 things, great, let us know.
One thing I didn't touch on in terms of the wild caught too, which I've done presentations on before, is where your corals come from on the reef.
Yes.
What part of the reef they come from.
That was going to be a question of mine.
It's so diverse where we dive. Like, it's lagoons, it's reef crests, it's ledges, it's interreefal zones, it's rocky coastlines.
Yep.
And it's really interesting for hobbyists to hear where their favorite corals come from, because it gives them an insight to their environment and how they can replicate that at home. Because most of the sites, if you go snorkeling off Cairns, you're not going to see 1/4 of the coral that you think are there. You're going to see brown, green Acropacilloporas. You'd be like, where's all the colourful? They're not there. They're not there. Where's the shortcake? It's not there. It's on this part of the reef here. Or where's the echinata? That's down there. That's not here where you are. It's that always fascinates me, because every coral that I've ever discovered always has what I call its epicenter, its hotspot. Back in the Northern Territory, when I first found the Parancora, I used to find dribs and drabs along the, in different areas. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting to think I understand what the habitat is. And then one day I just stumbled across the mother lobe.
Yep.
And it's just friggin' football fields.
Crazy.
Of area of this stuff. And every coral has that at its favorite environment, where it's just the dominant species. Like acans is a good example. trackies are a good example. They have certain environments and areas on the reef where they just dominate, and they're the most common coral.
It's
Yeah.
incredible. There's been a few videos actually going around my Facebook at the moment. I think they're by an Australian collector, and they're filming themselves on GoPros going down.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have seen those going around
I've seen a
lately.
couple of them. I don't know. I'm not sure who it is, but yeah, it
Yeah.
gives you a good insight into where.
Yeah, because I never would have guessed. Like, he's done one of a Scully, and you just see him. You can't even see through the water, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even know how you guys would spot it. And it's like it's in a rock. Like you said, he gets the shiz or whatever it is, and actually
Yeah.
slams away. And there was
Yeah.
another one of this giant glitter gonny, and it was just on the sand bed, nothing
Yeah.
else around it
Yeah.
at all. I
Yeah.
never
Fascinating,
would have
isn't it?
ever
Yeah.
imagined
And
that you
you
guys.
see that you see some of the comments, and people are like, well, that reef is dead. You shouldn't be collecting from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a really healthy inshore reef.
Yeah.
I was there in the comments sticking up for you guys. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
It just doesn't look like the idea of a reef that you have in your head, because you think of crystal clear lagoons covered in acro
Yeah.
and fish everywhere. That's a healthy reef. No
Yeah.
way. I can take you to sites off here in Bargara, Bundaberg, teeming with coral, but it's seaweedy, shitty, silty.
Yep.
It's healthy. It's just,
I never
that's
would
the
have thought
environment
that.
those corals live in. They don't, so it's
Yeah,
really,
trips
it
people
blew
out.
me away when I saw those videos and I saw the comments. People like, that reef is not healthy. That reef is dead. You shouldn't be harvesting. I'm like,
The videos
I
went
didn't
viral, but they
realise.
went viral with hate. They didn't go viral with like an, oh my God, that's
Yeah,
such a
right.
cool thing. They
Yeah.
reached a total different. I didn't even think they were reaching hobbyists. They were reaching
No.
people who were just there to slander and
We have to
Yeah.
be really
abuse.
careful with that stuff. Like, I have never put videos out like that. I've put videos like that in presentations where I can explain them and put some context to it. But just a video on the internet can be taken a million ways.
Yeah.
And depending on your algorithm, you're going to see it whatever way.
Yeah.
At least in a
Yeah.
presentation, you've got a pretty good idea of the audience you're presenting to.
That's right.
And they're generally of like-minded and understand the process behind, where as soon as you release that on the internet, it, as you say, the
Without
algorithm takes it
context or
and runs with it.
commentary, it can be, Some of the guys I've seen do it really well. I've just always been a little bit worried about that. I was actually really worried about opening the coral nursery, the farm, up to the public to do tours.
Yep.
Because, I wasn't sure how, I didn't want to have Peter at the front gate throwing blood on me as I drove into work.
I mean, that's generally my aim at each day, is to not get blood thrown on me.
But to my pleasant surprise, it has been, the support's been really good, but I think that is obviously because we're farming coral there, right? So it's hard to.
It's almost unfortunate that you were worried about opening it up and worried about that. That's sad for all the good things that you guys have done.
Yeah. I was so naive in the early days. I'd be like, oh yeah, I collect coral, and people are like, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. You keep it in fish tanks, and I just didn't think that some people hated on that.
Murderer. Oh my goodness, how dare you?
No, fish tanks are cool. You should try one, Like, that's how we get them.
Just doing your bit for the industry.
I get those looks too. Like at my office job, they're like, oh, what do you do on the weekends? I like, I was just cutting up my coral, cleaning my fish tank. And they're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It is part of the day that an age that we live in, though, as well. Like, we could talk about coral and fish and stuff like that, and we'll have haters with it. But just as much, you could go out wearing your favorite baseball cap, and there'll be 10 people that hate it, and one person say they love it. So that's an online thing, and I think if you're going to put that kind of content out there, you got to realize that you're going to cop it as much as you love it as well.
Yeah.
So
but if there is a volume 2 or there's more questions, I think that always interests people, is where these animals actually live in the wild, because it's really surprising.
Yeah, for sure. We intend on doing something like the podcast for a long time. So
cool.
Hopefully we do volume 2s, volume 3s. We get a little bit more intricate each time that we do it, and we talk. We could even, talk about specific locations on the barrier reef and what you find there and the complexities around that and stuff as well. So
that's super cool.
But I think it opens the eyes for the end consumer, at least they get a little bit of appreciation for what goes into it.
Definitely.
You know, that they take home that prize piece that they spent, you know, a pretty penny on, and you know, there's a little bit more appreciation, because I think we kind of forget about that with everything in life these days. You know, like you take home a bottle of milk and you forget that a farmer has milked a cow for you to receive that. And the same with this, you know, like you see coral tanks full in shops, and people turn their nose up at some pieces, but people want that $600 scully, you know, because it's the in thing at the moment. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and we thank places like you guys at Monsoon and all the other places out there that offer up this livestock, because without you guys, it's a very, very boring hobby at the end of the day.
Yeah, it gets a bit drab when it's just, you know, salt water.
Yeah.
Just rocking water. Yeah,
I don't have much down here in Adelaide. I can get some blue crabs or something.
That's what I used to do as a kid. I used to go down and catch flathead or whiting or whatever I could and keep it in fish tanks, you know, like. Well, it's a bug, right? So,
yeah, exactly. I felt the same, you know, like I was always fascinated by water, and then after that become the inhabitants of water, and just went from there, and there got more complex each time that I evolved with the hobby. So, yeah. But yeah, that's all we've got time for tonight. We need to talk a little bit about the next episode that's coming up, episode 31.
31.
Which is, 31. Tonight was 30, which is, you know.
Happy 30th.
Thank you. We're getting through them, that's for sure. But yeah, episode 31 coming up is going to be about all those tiny little life forms, you know, your even some of your pests, but a lot of like phytoplankton, amphipods, copepods, all of that kind of stuff,
all the microscope stuff.
Because I don't know how many times people have come into my shop and picked up that green bottle on the counter and go, what is this, green cordial? And it's not. There's life forms in that bottle, and it does something. So we'll dive into that a little bit more and talk a little bit about that stuff. But an exciting thing that we've got here as well is the final Aquaculture Kings giveaway.
Oof.
Number 4 of 4. So massive shout out to Aquaculture Kings for giving up these 4 packs. They weren't little packs either. They were, you know, pretty substantial.
Definitely.
And congrats to the past 3 winners as well. But today's winner of this episode is Nick Pratt. Congratulations, Nick.
Nicely done. You didn't even give a hook at the start of the episode today, Jarred. You just dropped it on him in the last minute of the episode.
Wow.
Dropped it on him. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Normally you say we'll announce him at the end of the episode and leave him hanging, but no, you just dropped it in.
I think people have gotten used to, you know, we've done 4 of these now, so people know that there's one coming at the end of the episode. So
yeah, nice.
Congratulations, Nick. We'll be in touch to get a pack away to you in the near future. And again, massive thanks to Aquaculture Kings. I've also been in touch with a few other companies that have reached out about upcoming giveaways as well. So season 2 just keeps giving. We've got plenty more coming for the listeners.
I know, but off podcasting recording airtime, I'm not quite sure how to say that, but offline, I guess, we were talking about earlier today about potentially having multiple prizes per episode because we've got too many people wanting to give prizes away. It's crazy.
Christmas in July.
Yeah. So yeah, it's we're giving back to the listeners, and we've said a few times now, it's gets tough, you know, the cost of living's not cheap, and the hobby's not always cheap either. And I think, you know, getting a few supplements and stuff kind of helps that sometimes as well. So we've given away probably close to 10 prizes this season alone. So
easy.
Yeah.
Nice one.
So yeah, we'll announce more giveaways in the next upcoming episode as well. So stay tuned for that. Another quick one I want to just touch on as well. We have the submerged merch available, ready to go.
We do.
There's still limited numbers. I did like a bit of a initial drop of the first line, which is 2 shirts. There's a navy and there's a black, both different designs. A few kind of went out on the Salty Social, but the rest will be online. Actually, Mariah, you're helping us out with this. You're going to have it all up for sale on the Only Reefs website.
Absolutely. That was going to be going live tonight, but then I've jumped in to spend the night with you guys. So I promise by tomorrow they'll be up. They'll be on the website. Now, how we're going to work with those. So obviously I'm based in Adelaide. The t-shirts are going to be with Jarred in Sydney. So when you go through checkout, if you want to pick them up, we'll be able to select a click and collect option. Otherwise, it will just be a flat rate shipping fee and we'll get them out to you. If there's lots of people in Adelaide wanting them, then maybe you could just send me some down, Jarred, and they can pick them up from my place or whatever. We
Likewise
could organise that.
Melbourne, we can do the same down this way. So, yeah.
Maybe, Jarred, maybe send me some down and then at the Adelaide social frag swap, I can have some there too, because I know there are a few people down here who wanted one. But yeah, guys, they'll be up on the website by the time this episode is live.
And what website was that again, Mariah?
www.onlyreefs.com.au.
That's the one.
Not a sponsor.
I'll put a couple of pictures up here of the shirts available. They're $50 each plus GST plus shipping. So yeah, if we get through the first batch, I'll do a second batch and we'll keep it going. And then potentially, I've been in touch with someone that there might be a collab shirt coming as well. Down the
I got dibs on that.
So yeah, lots of fun.
One other thing there, Jarred, you mentioned you're going to put pictures up. Obviously, if people are listening to this on the podcast, we can't neural images to your brain, but it's a good little segue to say that these episodes are now being released to YouTube as well, which, I don't know, we do just kind of sit here talking, but if you're the sort of person that wants to see us sit here talking, then you can do so on YouTube at the Submerged Podcast. You'll be able to search for it there.
Yeah. And if that's something that you're into, there's already one up there. The episode 29 is already up, which was the, what was that?
For the listeners.
All the listeners, that's right. That's already up. And it's already got good views and subscribers and everything, which is great. Thank you very much for jumping on watching that. But this will be the second episode available. And as I get more time, I'm going to go a little bit into the back catalogue and start to upload all of season 2. So there'll be
into the vault.
Yeah,
Wow.
10 to 12 more episodes available coming soon. I can't really do season 1. There was some issues there with some recording stuff and everything like that. And but this
and we
year,
never planned for them to be videos at that stage either. So
no.
Some of us are sitting here in less
not gonna.
than appropriate appearance.
I thought you were going to say you were naked too. I was going to say in episode 29, I was just wearing my pajamas, but at least I had clothes on. No one warned me.
No one was naked, but probably wouldn't be the outfit you'd wear out on the town.
Yeah. I had a little bit of pre-thought into season 2, whereas like we had an intro and outro made and everything, and we got half decent cameras, and so we always plan for season 2 to be somewhat on YouTube. So the rest of the episodes will be, up in the near future. I just need some extra time. I need 10 more hours a day if we can somehow make that work.
That would be lovely, please, and thank you.
And also, don't forget, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That's where you get a lot of your updates about upcoming episodes dropping, about prizes. It's also where you can go in the draw to win prizes. So it's very, very important that you're on there if you want to kind of follow the podcast in depth. So jump on that. But yeah, again, Daniel, thank you very much for being on the episode tonight. It was very, very insightful. I learned, I've got to be honest with you. I probably about 2 weeks ago, as I was driving around Sydney, I listened to the Reef Therapy episode where you were talking to the boys from America on. Yeah. So I was kind of like, I already knew a lot of your answers that were coming tonight, but it was a good listen, and I knew that you were going to be great in the episode. But yeah, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
No, look, thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good. I think thank you for what you guys are doing. Like this is such a good initiative to see in Australia. Like, yeah, the reef therapy one's great overseas, but to see you guys pushing this in Australia, I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of the industry and my business, Monsoon Aquatics in particular, because this is what grows the hobby. This is what pushes us forward and brings us together. And thank you. It's very important. It's good.
Yeah.
Nice one.
That's really the main goal, that we just want to bring the hobby more
Mm.
together, I guess,
Yeah.
and grow it even bigger and, teach people, bring more new hobbyists in, all of that kind of stuff. And I think this is the perfect platform for that kind of stuff. And having guests like you in to talk about your passion only helps. So, yeah. But also, again, massive, massive thank you for coming on to sponsor the entire season this year as well. It's helped us as well. Like without that, we probably wouldn't have it on YouTube this year. So it's been a massive help for us to kind of grow the podcast and, have it going for years and years to come, hopefully. So, yeah.
Hope so. Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, everyone. Well, that's all we got time for tonight. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you all on episode 31 in 2 weeks' time. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya. Bye.
See you later.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to catch us again in a fortnight for the next episode. Find us on all our socials for more updates.